Yo, 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 good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. We are NerdTube. I am DOZ101 with Zamario and Gary, and we are here for the fourth episode of The Last of Us. I don't even know what the title of it is, but
Please hold my hand.
please hold my hand. Okay, thank you. I'm glad I got you here. All right. This episode, what'd you guys think of it? What'd you like? What'd you not like? Any critiques before we get started?
Who you want to start off with?
Uh, Zam, you want to go ahead and go?
Yeah, this episode had a lot to live up to from last week, and a lot of people were complaining that didn't get enough Joel or Ellie. Well, we got plenty of Joel or Ellie in this episode, and I have to admit that maybe we're just getting used to things right now, but this seemed to be not saying it was a crap episode, but it was the least endearing episode of the series so far. I think everything was more of a setup than a payoff in this particular episode. You could see things were coming into play for the future, but we only got 45 minutes as well during the course of this episode too, so there wasn't much going on. And maybe it was more just basically character development of the characters that we are going to be following now. We saw Joel obviously softening up a lot more to Ellie and stuff like that, and just their interactions as well. And we got to meet some new factions and new people too, which I'm sure will pay off down the line. So yeah, they're more of a setup than a payoff this particular episode.
All right, Bossman, and then I'll get my thoughts last.
Yeah, I thought last episode was great. I thought this was a little bit more tense because the thing is that while there was no infected there, I like the fact that they're basically going into a very inhospitable environment. Think people that don't like them or have reason to dislike them, and it's kind of like that. There's a human element there that distrusts outsiders, for reasonable reasons, and that they're coming into basically these people's area. So I like that. I like the kind of like that. There's tension here, but there's no infected here because I was tense throughout it. I thought it was a really good episode for building tension and for also character development. So I liked it, but again, I agree a little bit with what Sam said that after last episode, it might have left a bit of taste in our mouth because the last episode was so good. I think this feels like a come down because it wasn't as good, which isn't its fault. It just happened to follow a really good episode, and I don't know whether Zach agrees with that or yourself, Jose. But
yeah, I agree. I agree, but I almost feel like this. It almost peaked. 3 episodes in, the show almost peaked last week.
And it makes you wonder: is it going to be that way going forward? Like they have to finish strong in the finale, but yeah. But anyway, go ahead and finish your thought.
But yeah, I thought it was a really good episode because the fact is I was tense throughout it, which is what a horror series is supposed to do. It's supposed to create tension and have have enough violence that you're interested, and also introduce the rogue element and stuff like that, and make you invested in them. So I was interested throughout this particular episode. So good job, but I just think it had an impossible task following on from episode 3. In my opinion.
Well, I look at it like this. This had to be the come down episode because I knew we were going to get one. I was like, we got to have at least one episode where you slow it down and you focus more on the character development. And you got that with Joel and Ellie here, which is what its purpose was supposed to be. It's supposed to focus more on Joel and Ellie as characters. They softened Joel up a bit, which is kind of being divided among people. Some people like the fact that Joel is being more humanized now than he was in the video game, because in the video game it took him a while to be humanized, but now they're showing Joel's softer side a little bit earlier. But I think in terms of character development, this is one of the best episodes that you'll see. But if you're like thinking like, oh my God, it's going to be over the top, it's going to be, one of the best episodes, you won't get that with this one, but you will get good character development. You'll get decent action, and you'll get a fucking pun book. You'll get lots of puns. That's what I liked about this episode.
Yeah, that pun book. Oh my God, some of those jokes.
Yeah, I don't think it's one of those things where I think not now, but maybe in a couple of months' time, it'll be real evaluated and it'll be seen as a really good episode that it is. I just think it's one of those things where it's like if I'm going to make a baseball analogy now. It's like if somebody hits a home run and then somebody hits a double. Yeah, the double was good, but it's not the home run. You know what I mean?
Or it's like a Ellie makes a pun about a scarecrow who classically lacked a brain. Yeah, much like the infected who lacked higher thinking. Yeah, that's a good point. Yep. But yeah, this was the come down episode. It's like, yeah, you can't give everybody an amazing episode of every single series. It's not always going to work that way. But let's go ahead and get into this. Cool Hand Ellie and Joel are stopping to fill up gas, and Joel like has to explain to Ellie like this is what we used to do back in the day. We'd have to fill up our cars, and she was like, "Where would you go? Pretty much nowhere." And we got to stop every 12 hours and whatnot. And Ellie, in the meantime, too, is also like trying to like load up her gun, learn how to load up a gun, do this kind of thing. And I thought that was really good for an opening. Is that Ellie's actually starting to explore with the weapon that she got from Bill's house.
This was very similar to last week's episode when Ellie decided to have fun with that zombie which was under the rubble. Like we just got to see Ellie just be with us, be by herself, and just do the sort of like childish things, but in this world, if you know what I mean. And so like she fucked around with a zombie. Maybe it's the same way some stupid kid might pull the legs off a spider, off an arachnid. I mean, I would never do that because I'm scared of fucking spiders. But people do stuff like that, And then obviously now she's playing with this gun. She's fascinated by it. She smells it as well, like that. She's doing the taxi driver. Are you looking at me? You know what I mean? All that sort of shit in the mirror. So but it also is very childlike. She's playing at the same time, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, because to kind of go ahead with a little bit of the dialogue, not necessarily in the plot, it's like Joel was like, you don't understand what this world is, and that line really struck out to me, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. And then basically Ellie starts to pull out the fucking pun book and just do all sorts of these awful puns. And it's like for every moment that there's a pun, it's like there's 10 moments that could terrify the hell out of you with like Infected and Fedra and Raiders and all that kind of shit. And then one of probably the best scene of the episode was when they play Alone and Forsaken by Hank Williams. And they do the montage of like everything you're going to see, where Ellie's like, I want to see a tank. I want to see this. I want to see that. And Joel's like, okay, you will, but you're not from this world. You don't know what the world was like before all this happened. And he explained that to her in great detail. And then she pulls out the porno magazine and she just like looks at it. And then Joel's like, yeah, that ain't for kids. And Ellie's just like, how do you even walk around with that thing? I thought that this was a very humorous episode in parts too. And I really like that.
Porno as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was funny. Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing is that, and I think this is something that I think is kind of we've lost a little bit in that Ellie's somebody who's been forced to grow up a lot quicker because of the world she's been born into. She doesn't have a time like we all do to be kids, and then we get exposed to stuff. No, she's been exposed to stuff from a really young age. She's had to kill. She's had to, be exposed to adult material from a very young age because the idea of this isn't suitable for you has gone out the window because people are just surviving. With whatever they have, and I think that this kind of.
No, go on, Bossman.
No, I'm just saying, like, I think this episode kind of explored the aspects of it. The fact that she, because like Joel's harkening back to the fact that if the way it was, she would have known about it, but because people are doing what they have to do to survive, she probably got given that because it was probably trained to her for something. And that's what we've got to think about. That this is the world we live in now.
I also think, like, even though she is a kid and she still does childish things in a way, she's still being robbed of a childhood because in this world you can't be a kid. It's just impossible.
Yeah, you can't run around and play. You can't do this. You can't do that. But okay, the further that they travel, the greater their connection grows, whether it's bonding over their shared fondness of Chef Boyardee, which I thought was cool. And then she tries to keep breaking them with puns, and Joel is just no-selling it, which I thought was fantastic. And then they make it to Kansas City, and yes, I know people are going to be like, it took place in Pittsburgh in the video game. Not everything is going to follow the fucking video game, people.
Yeah, I'm very happy that you mentioned that because I'm sure for some unbeknown reason this is going to piss a lot of people off for the
Yeah,
sake of it.
it's such a small, minute detail. Who the fuck cares?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people were upset with the last episode because Bill and
Frank were
Frank.
gay. Yeah, but we knew that though.
No, but I mean that they actually show it.
Yeah,
They don't. Yeah.
get over yourselves. That's all that needs to be said.
Maybe look, like with what Daniel Vance says here,
Mhm.
regarding Scarecrow, who classically lacked the brain. They're in Kansas. Maybe there's some sort of Wizard of Oz sort of thing
Yeah.
going on here. You know, I mean, but I mean, they are in Kansas this time around,
Hi,
not in the past. Anyway, yeah. Hello, Jim. Welcome to the stream, mate.
Hello.
So yeah.
I mean, because
So,
I love the aspect of the road trip because I mean, like, because the thing is that because we get to kind of invest in the fact that Joel's basically killing things to feed her and stuff like that, and like there is been starting to become that bond there, even though it's like it's developing over time, and I kind of enjoyed that, like because he's gone from your cargo to he's actually kind of enjoyed her company.
Yeah, he's starting to enjoy kind of like spending time with her little by little.
Jose, have you been to Kansas?
No, but I want to go. I want to go for the barbecue.
I'm just surprised, like just learning this episode just taught me something like there's a tunnel that goes right underneath the city, and you can see to the other end. Like, how big is the city? Or is it actually a city? I have no idea, but that was interesting.
Yeah, makes you wonder.
Mm.
All right, so yeah, they make it to Kansas, and then the scene of like the injured man where he's like, "Yo, stop!" And then, yeah, dang, Zam, you do look tired. Yeah, the guy's like, "No, stop, stop!" And then they start throwing shit, and then he's like, "Put your seatbelt on." He's not even hurt. I know he's not hurt, and then they just fucking bowl him over. And then Joel gets into a firefight and tells Ellie like, "Yo, you got to go in this hole. Don't come out when I say. Do as I fucking tell you." And they get into a firefight. And then just when you think Joel's about to get ready to get the life choked out of, Ellie has her first significant moment of she actually shoots the guy and paralyzes the guy, which I thought was a better touch than how they handled it in the video game.
I thought this was glorious. I understand them like losing their wheels and stuff like that, and I didn't, and I did like the fact that Ellie shot the guy. I was hoping that she would kill the guy.
Yeah.
She left that down to Joel, and I like the way the guy cried for his mom. That was brilliant. Actually, that was absolutely superb. But after all of that, what happened? The fact that they walk away from all of this with only one gun or one gun each really pissed me off. Like, Joel had the bolt action, obviously jammed on him, but he could have taken the guy's shotgun. He didn't. And he had a whole bunch of fucking guns in the back of the van, which he could have taken. He didn't. That really, really pissed me off. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's an inconsistency thing, and I didn't like that they were inconsistent with that. Like, you would think, here, hold on, boss man, but you would think normally in a survival situation like that, you scrounge up as much as you possibly can carry. Like everybody, like the saying, everybody has to carry their own weight, and that's what they should have done. They should have stocked up and got the fuck out of there and taken everything they needed.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, from my point of view, I thought that was great because the thing is that you have to travel light because the thing is, the more noise you make, the more stuff you have on you, the more noise you're going to make, and the more audible attention you're going to get. Because the thing is, if you're not carrying too much, then you're going to be fairly silent. But if you're carrying like loads of like machinery, especially if it's weaponry, you're going to go.
That part I get, but you can't at least take the bullets with
the guns.
Yeah, you can't.
I mean, he took the bolt action for Christ's sake. He should at least take maybe, if he did, hoard maybe one or two more like sort of assault rifles or whatever. He should have taken one of those, like just to like leave everything behind. And they're in Kansas now, where there's all these other people coming after them. It made no sense just to walk around with one pistol.
Yeah, because one pistol's not going to take down her.
Joel and Ellie sit and talk in a red room after the accident about what it means to kill someone.
Yeah, I'm going to be getting to that here pretty shortly. Okay, but then
the more the truck carries, the more stops they have to make.
frugal is better than pack rat. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You got to scrounge what you can, like I said. Okay, and
in Netherverse.
yep. What's up, Block? All right, now it's time to meet Melanie Linsky's character. This was actually really, really good. She killed it in this episode. She starts to interrogate an old man in a federal prison to find out where, to find out where Henry is. Yes, folks, that Henry. If you played the video game, you know what I'm talking about. Kathleen is the leader of the rebel group that has now taken over Kansas City from Fedra. Why she's exactly looking for Henry is not known yet, but Henry obviously did something to piss off that entire squadron. And yeah, they have not explained that yet.
Well, they assume that they do find the bodies of the guys who attacked Ellie and Joel, and they immediately assume that that's Henry who's been doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And because they couldn't save those people's lives, it kind of thought, okay, well, if we can't save these people's lives, then fuck it, I'm going to kill the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, in these post-apocalyptic worlds, if you're a doctor, that's me. I'm alive. I'm gonna. I have a worth, but she didn't give a fuck. She just killed him in cold blood.
Yep. And then here's it.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Dave says the man who played Perry is Jeffrey Pierce, who voiced Tommy in The Last of Us Part 2.
I was just about to mention that. Yep. Yeah, they actually got somebody from the video game.
Is Perry the doctor?
Perry, who plays Jeffrey Pierce. Jeffrey Pierce is the guy with the long beard and the long gray hair, white hair. Yep, that's him.
The actor who plays the doctor, I recognize him from other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a very, very short role in this episode, but I've seen him in other stuff.
Yep.
All right.
But basically, the right-hand man, Jeffrey Pierce, shows her the carnage from Joel's and Ellie's arrival in the city. Kathleen now has two more people now she has to track down. She's like, find them and kill them. That's the way it's got to be.
She doesn't know that
that it's them.
People. She thinks it's still. She still thinks it's Henry and Sam.
Yep.
And she's obviously kind of brainwashed the acolytes. And by the way, I got very, very Mad Max vibes from this episode as well, because the way they dressed up and the vehicles they drive as well had that Mad Max vibe about it.
For me, it was when you see the tanks in the montage, I was like, yep, I was thinking instantly Mad Max.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kathleen searches the city for Joel and Ellie. Or Kathleen searches the city. Joel and Ellie find a safe spot to hide in an abandoned and boarded up bar. And this is where they clear the air, and Ellie and Joel both kind of have that little bit of survivor guilt. Like, Joel's like, you shouldn't have to go through this. And I thought this was actually the best part of the episode in terms of character breakdown, because you got to see Joel and Ellie become vulnerable. It was my favorite part of the episode easily. And Joel showing Ellie, like, this is how you put the gun together. This is how you aim it. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. I thought that was a nice touch.
I actually thought that when they were talking about her killing that guy and how she shouldn't have to go through that. She's only a kid, and then you can see that she starts crying, and in a way, you can see Joel wants to hug her so badly.
Yep.
I mean, but he just couldn't. It was still too early in their relationship for that to happen.
Mm-hmm. But, it's coming. Yeah.
He wanted to comfort her like a dad, but he just wasn't able to do so. It was heartbreaking to a degree. He's still holding back a bit. Yeah, you can't blame him.
Yeah, you can't blame him. Bossman, what'd you think about that?
I thought it was a great bit of character development, because we got to see, Joel impart his probably years of basically survival training he's probably had on the job. Probably some of it taught to him by Tommy. And he's imparted it to this person. And you can start to see that sort of parental kind of bond that you have developing. And, I really like that. But I also like the fact that it kind of goes into, the fact that Joel isn't the tough guy. He there is kind of like a soft center with him, that he does care for people around him, and that's one thing that I think that this episode did, that I want to kind of shine a light on. I thought he did some. I'm going to say something now. You're probably both going to disagree with. I thought Pedro Pascal. This was one of his best performances in anything.
Actually, I don't disagree with that. I thought that he actually did a good job.
Yeah, I thought he knocked it out of the park because, like, the thing
Yeah.
is that it's very hard to do, be gruff and kind of like stoic, but also have like sort of vulnerabilities, and he had both in equal abundance, but it didn't make him weak, and it's very hard to run that line. And I don't know what you two think about that.
I thought that.
I personally thought. Sorry, go on.
Oh, I thought that it was a bit too early for my liking, but overall, I can understand why they did it the way they did it. I really liked it. Like, I think as far as like dialogue and the chemistry, it was like you could see it coming through because it's like Zam said, he wanted to hug Ellie so bad. But it's one of those where it's like it's coming, but they can't give it to you yet. But you could tell the seeds were definitely planted in this episode.
I actually think Bella Ramsey was the standout for me personally, and she just seems to be impressing me more and more. You have to remember she's not an American; she's a British actress, a young British actress at that. And
Yeah.
and she seems to be impressing me more and more with her range of emotion, and it's just she for me is the real standout personally.
She's gonna be the she's gonna be the heart. She's going to be the heart of the show. I think when we look back on it, when we like talk about this toward the end of the year, when we start to kind of go like, oh, okay, we might be kind of rethinking things a bit. I think Bella Ramsey is going to be the heart of the show, at least for me.
Massive career ahead of her, in my opinion.
Yep.
Yeah, this is the beginning.
But I do think that Pedro Pascal's performance is better than the Mandalorian here. Because
that goes without saying, man.
Yeah, that goes without saying.
That goes without saying. We talk about a guy who wears a helmet and he's got to be.
No. But I'm not talking about that. But the thing is that he's more of a three-dimensional person here. Because the thing is that he's not just one note. Here he has much more depth.
But I wouldn't use the Mandalorian as a comparison. I think that's the wrong comparison. I mean, there's so much other stuff that he would do, but you're talking about him wearing a helmet for nearly every episode, not showing his face, not showing any acting range. Even when he said goodbye to Baby Grogu in the end of season 2, the most we got out of him was a tear. You know what I mean? It's just Anyway,
but okay, to get back to the recap, they get in the bar, and then Joel feels guilty that Ellie knows what it's like to take a life, but Ellie soon informs him like this is not the first time that she's had to hurt somebody. So the Riley dynamic is going to be coming here in the next few episodes. We will get to see the backstory of Ellie, how she got infected, the stupid choices that she made to sneak out of the Boston quarantine zone, and how she got infected, and how Marlene wanted to kill her but ultimately decided not to. That's going to be coming up here pretty soon. And then
flashback episode, you're saying?
Yeah, basically it's going to be a flashback episode.
Episode or flashback scene?
I would go maybe with, depending on how you really want to establish Ellie. If you really want to establish her backstory, I say make it an episode. But I think you could squeeze out a scene in 10 minutes with Ellie and Riley if you really wanted to.
What's very frustrating, and some shows do this, is just as we're progressing, the next episode ends up being a flashback episode, and then we don't progress with the story until the following episode. I think to myself, come on, like, you could get away with this maybe once, but I wouldn't even say twice. Second time it starts to be frustrating. Like, you want the story to progress to a degree. If you're going to give us a bit of flashback, don't make it the whole fucking episode. I mean, even the Frank and Bill episode wasn't a flashback throughout. It was bookends by Joel and Ellie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I thought that it was really good. It actually did it perfectly, and I think that's probably going to be the flashback episode we get. And I think that this will be. I think we'll just get maybe scenes, as I said, and I do agree with you. I think that they used their kind of get off jail free card because it was such a good episode, but I think that if anybody they do push our patience with it.
Yeah,
Mm.
episodes 1 and 2 did it right. They gave us flashbacks to I mean, all right, episode 1 had to be a flashback episode to a degree because it was the first episode, the beginning of the outbreak. But episode 2 also showed the beginning of the outbreak, but it was only like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, so it's fair enough.
I say if you're going to do the Ellie Riley scene, 10 minutes. That's all it needs. Give them 10 minutes of spotlight. That's plenty of time to tell the story of how it happened. Knowing what comes for Joel, they don't have time to slow pace us falling in love with the character. Yeah, knowing what's going to happen for those that have played the second video game, you know what's coming because there will be a second season.
Well, I'm hoping that they go a different direction. I'm hoping. There once again, you don't have to even this series has so far hasn't necessarily followed the video game,
entirely.
For argument's sake, like Frank and Bill, they hated each other. Apparently, Frank killed himself to get away from Bill. That wasn't the case in this show.
Nope.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Okay, so going forward, at the end of the conversation, Ellie wishes to have a gun of her own. Joel shows her how to, lock it and load it and all that kind of stuff. So they have their father-daughter bonding moment. And then the voices of the people start to vanish. Joel and Ellie make their way out to a new, safer hiding spot. Meanwhile, Kathleen and Perry have discovered where Henry's been hiding out the entire time, and it's been right under her nose. And just when she thought her day couldn't get any worse, Perry shows her the ground moving and sinking into the town, which means a bloater is going to be showing up in next week's episode. Finally, we get to see what the bloaters look like. I am super excited about that. Cannot wait to see our bloater.
It was very bizarre seeing that. I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck is all of that about? Is there a sinkhole happening? It was very unusual to see that. And she's keeping it. She doesn't want the rest of the community to know it either. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. And once again, as I said earlier, this is all set up.
Because it's coming next week.
Yeah, I feel in the way that bloater is going to be what helps Joel and Ellie escape. From whatever shit they may get into.
Yeah, it's either us or that fucking thing, and it's going to be that fucking thing they got to worry about.
And that thing will be enough of a distraction for them to escape, in my opinion.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking too.
I mean, the thing is that I'm just hoping that they just move forward from this point because I don't want going back to see how this particular group took down Fedra because, to us, as I said, I don't care because I thought that they did enough with the kind of looks and the kind of personality that we got from the crew that with Melanie Linsky and all that sort of stuff. That we got to understand why they did that. It was and I mean, to us, I love the fact that when they woke up to 2 people holding guns over them.
I wasn't going to get there, boss man. I wasn't going to get there just yet, but hold that thought. Yeah. Okay, so they finally found a place to spend the night, Joel and Ellie, at the very top of a tall building, which is going to be a lookout, and they walk 45 flights of stairs, which is impressive. And Ellie's like, how did you know about that guy that tried to stop us earlier? And Joel's like, here's the deal, kid. Quite frankly, I've been on both sides. I've been the innocent guy, and I've been that dude that had to take and kill people. I've been on both sides, and it's not easy either way. And they make it up 33. They make it up to 33 flights. Yep.
I'm not sure if you're going to come to this, but she said to him, "So have you ever killed innocent people?" And he didn't answer that question because he has.
Yeah, he has.
It shows that he was that person. In this world, there's no rules. It's kill or be killed.
Yeah. Okay. So they make it up 33 flights of stairs, which is very impressive. And then they start to kind of set traps and do this and that. But the highlight of the episode, which the recap does not have, is Ellie finally fucking gets Joel to break, which I thought was fucking fantastic with her diarrhea joke. And she's like, you fucking laughed, motherfucker. I finally broke your ass. I thought that was fantastic. And then Ellie wakes up and she's like, Joel. And Henry and Sam are right there with guns in hand at their heads. And that's where the episode comes to an end. I cannot wait to see what Henry and Sam do next week.
Joel, I believe, is deaf or maybe partly got bad hearing in one of his ears.
He said that too, yeah. He was like,
Yeah, and so
if you want to keep
yeah,
your hearing, don't use a gun, use your knife. That was what he told her.
and I feel like he ended up lying on the side which exposed his bad ear to exposed his bad ear, so his good ear was in the mat, so to speak. So he wasn't. So even though he laid that trap or that thing, that indicator, that alarm,
He wouldn't have been able to hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he wakes up to Henry and Sam, and once again, they said about the child, like the lost childhood, or there's little Sam, with a gun going shh.
Yep.
I mean, he should be playing in the field right now, not fucking holding people up at gunpoint. But that's how it is.
It's the world it's the world they live in. I mean, like, look at us now as a society. We as a society got to teach our kids, like, hey, sadly, I know you want to be a kid. You'll get your moments to do that, but there's things you got to learn. And that's how it is in our world. Kids don't get to be kids like we want them to be entirely, which is sad. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the dynamic between Ellie and Sam most of all in next week's episode. That's, I think, the thing that I'm going to be most excited about.
I do think because I think they're telling them to be quiet to a degree. If they wanted to off them, they would have, and taken all their shit.
Yep.
I think they realized they're better off maybe working together.
Yep.
They know that faction's after them. After them, Henry and Sam knows that, and knowing that they're going to come after Ellie and Joel as well for killing those dudes. Once they realize they have, means that they're better off together. So hopefully there'll be a little team up. But I don't know how long we're going to spend in Kansas, because I really feel that we're going to have to move on from here.
Yeah, they need to get to they need to get to Colorado and then Wyoming, because that's going to be where the chunks of the last few episodes will be at. We'll be in Colorado and Wyoming.
And to a degree, I don't know what the end game is regarding all of this. So it's going to be interesting to see how they culminate all of this now that we're pretty much halfway through. But yeah, an okay episode so far, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think we could go ahead and give our final ratings out now. If anyone wants to start, Bossman, you want to give us your final rating?
Sure. Do you know what? I'm going to go pretty darn high. I'm going to give it an 8. I boiled it on a 9 because the thing is, it had the most difficult task, I think, of any episode in the series by following a very excellent but very controversial episode of last week. And I thought it knocked out the park because he developed more of this of the law, developed more of like the outside threats of other humans, and I thought it had good tension on it. I thought it did it very well. It developed more of the relationship, which is what I wanted. It kind of built on more of the survival aspect, which is what I wanted as well. So I'm going pretty high. I'm going to do you know what? Sorry, I'm going to give it a 9. I've talked myself into a 9.
All right, Zam.
I'm giving this episode a 7 out of 10. I would like to give it a higher rank, but I wasn't blown away by it. Maybe I'm by the way, I'm putting a poll out, by the way.
Okay.
Maybe I was expecting more from this episode, and I think we got spoiled last week. We really did. There's some superb writing, superb direction, superb acting. So, and once again, this is set up, not payoff.
Yeah,
7 out of 10. That's all it gets for me. I mean, like, I'm not even sure how I feel about this lady. I didn't find her too special either. This bad guy lady. Didn't find her too special and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but she's a new character. She's not even in the games. So yeah. And like the way that they're talking, they're talking about people like. This is where I had a problem with some of the writing. Like they're talking about these other factions and these other people, and I didn't like the way that writing was brought in, like Harry and Sam and stuff. So Henry and Sam, it just felt really poorly executed to a degree. So yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go
7 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7 as well because honestly, it was like I knew we were going to get a come down episode, and truth be told, I actually wasn't really expecting a lot of action. I wasn't really expecting like anything like outstanding and amazing because we really got spoiled last week. Like, I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction. I think episode 3 is going to be the best episode out of this entire series. I really do. That's how good this episode was last week. And these next few episodes have a lot to live up to if they want to surpass episode 3. But I got to give it a 7. But I thought overall the dynamic between Joel and Ellie is progressing. I can't wait to see what they do with Henry and Sam. I can't wait to see the bloater. So there's still things I'm excited about. I just don't know if it'll surpass episode 3, personally speaking.
Can I ask you 2 questions? And don't take this as like I got you. I just want if let's say, for example, this episode that we have here was episode 3. Would you think, and you didn't have episode 3 to follow it up then, would you think both of you would have given it higher mark? And I don't mean that as a got you. I'm just asking a legitimate question.
I need time to think about that. I got a phone call. Let me answer this, guys. I'll be back. Go ahead, Zam.
Personally, I'm not sure. It is a good question. But,
yeah, I don't mean this to cut you. I just think that I'm just wondering if it. And I don't mean this to sound bad to both of you. I'm just saying.
All right. Look, episode 1 was just absolutely fantastic. How it built up to the end of the world. It really did. It built up to the end of the world. Episode 2, we were beginning of the world. We got to meet. Got to know more about Ellie, and we got to see a lot of the zombies, and we saw some of the elements of this world that we recognize from the games, and we saw the clickers as well. There was a lot of payoff in episode 2. Episode 3 was very left field, but it was executed really well. So we did get episode 1 and 2, which were more like the game. So episode 3 aside, if I just don't think that episode 4 was anywhere near episode 1 and 2 regarding how they paid off compared to this payoff. We didn't get a single fucking zombie in this episode. Not a single fucking zombie. You know what I mean? And I'm hoping we got maybe a preview of what's potentially to come with the shit under the ground, so to speak. But we never got one in the flesh. So let's get back to some zombie action as well. I think we need it as well after getting hardly any zombie in episode 3.
But I think the thing is that it builds up the rogue elements because in the first episode I think they talked about like slavers, raiders and stuff like that. So the bad people that.
I go back to what I said earlier. It's a setup episode, and even though it is a setup episode, and we know, and I'm hoping the payoff from this setup episode pays off, then that'll be good. But still, as a setup episode, even though it's not necessarily offering us anything, it's good enough for me to give it a 7. But it's still not good enough for me to give it a higher mark, and that's nothing to do with episode 3 being the superior episode. 1 and 2 were excellent episodes, and this episode was nothing like 1 or 2. Nowhere close to it.
Yeah, I mean, oh, so go ahead, Jose. Sorry. Oh,
you're on mute, Jose. No, I can't hear you still. No.
It might have.
Yeah.
Oh, you go. We can hear you now.
Okay.
No. Yeah. We can hear you.
No, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Jose. I can't hear you.
Yeah. We could hear you for a moment, but then we can't again.
All right. Now can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Headphones off. Anyway, if we didn't get this episode, last week's episode, I don't know if I would give this one a higher rating, to be honest with you. I just really don't. Last week's episode, we just got spoiled.
Yeah. I mean, because I don't think the last episode will be the best one of the series. I'm going to predict that now because I just feel they're going to throw like a lot of action stuff at us, and I think that's going to be good in its own right, in my personal opinion. And I think the fact is that it seems that this series is doing horror right, because the thing is that it doesn't need to have the zombies. It's hiding them enough that you're anticipating seeing them. It's not overdoing them like a certain other series. Walking Dead. Sorry, I had a cough. Where it's throwing them all the time. It's using them enough. It's using them as spice rather than the entire meal. You know what I mean? But I understand where you two are coming from.
Yeah. All right. Well, does anyone?
Well,
before we wrap?
Reading a couple of comments here. From Daniel Vance here, Joel being partially deaf in his right ear means that he hears better with the left or the sinister side. Yeah, I think it's funny that episode 3 has 3 times the rating votes on IMDb, but it's the lowest rated episode. Yeah, those bigots, they went hardcore, unfortunately, on it. But that's what they do, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Next episode premieres Friday 10th.
Oh,
yeah.
I did not compete. Okay, so we got to alter next week. Good to know.
I still not compete with the stupid bowls. All right. No. Anyway, look, we'll review it this Friday.
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah, I think luckily there's nothing in the way, and if there was, then we'd move that. Yeah, we'll review it this Friday, and yeah, very much look forward to it. It's going to be fun.
Yep. All right. Well, if nobody else has anything to add, I'll go ahead and wrap this up. If anybody has anything to plug, now would be the time.
Episode 5. Did you see a trailer for it?
Yeah, I've seen the episode.
I've not actually. Okay. As people may know, I'm trained to be a wrestler. The school I'm affiliated with is now connected to a wrestling company in Glasgow called SWA. They've got a show on May the 16th, 17th. If you're in the Glasgow area, please come and see that. Go support the lads and lasses. I may or may not be there. I probably will be there. But I won't be performing, but I'll be helping out behind the scenes.
Lovely. And I'll be on tomorrow talking about Quantum Leap, episode 12, I think. That'll be the trans episode.
Do you know what? This remake of Quantum Leap is actually impressing me. It's actually been a really good show.
I get look. Next week's episode is a big deal for me because it is a trans episode. I look at the Republicans in America right now, and because they have no policies to help the American people, they want to make a bogeyman or woman or non-binary bogey person even out of trans people simply because they need an enemy.
We ain't the much better here.
Yeah, I know, but they need an enemy. They have fucking child beauty pageants out there, and yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah, but they, a drag queen doing story hour, all of a sudden that's a problem. I've been watching stuff like the A-Team, little clips of it. You got Hannibal Smith dressed up as a woman. You got Murdoch dressed up as a fucking woman. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. And they're in disguise. You got fucking Mrs. Doubtfire. That was great as well. Like, men have been doing drag, around children for a long fucking time, and I think the fact that they want to make them into a boogeyman when really you should be more worried about
people who got
certain priests and stuff like that. I'm not saying that all priests are, but obviously some of them are, and nothing ever gets done. One gets convicted, and they move on from that. The Boy Scouts, stuff like that. A lot of kiddie fiddling's happening there, but they want to blame the trans, they want to blame the gays, but they're taking a leaf out of the Eastern European playbook. But just to get back on track here, I'm very much looking forward to tomorrow's episode of Quantum Leap because it's about a trans person. So we'll see how that pans out. And on Wednesday, I'll be doing Bad Batch, and on Thursday, I'll be doing the final episode of Daniel Vance's favorite show in the entire universe, National Treasure. So yeah, and then Friday we'll be back for fucking more Last of Us.
Jose, I'm about to ask you: have you watched any of Velma yet?
Have I watched what?
Have you watched any of Velma yet?
No.
Oh god,
don't.
Sorry.
It's Daniel Vance's favorite show, by the way. He loves it, but I'm done with it. I did 4 episodes. I only did, and that's it. I'm done. I'm never reviewing that bullshit again. Daniel Vance, watch Extraordinary on Disney Plus. Watch Extraordinary on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I've seen that show.
It is so fucking good. It is
It-
so
it-
fucking good.
It
Yeah.
is really funny, which is
Yeah.
yeah. Have you seen it, Jose?
Yeah.
No.
You should watch it.
Watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very British, but it's very funny.
It's a British show. All the episodes are out. You can binge watch them all. 8 episodes, half an hour an episode. It is so fucking good. It is so fucking, mate. I almost died laughing. You know, that show needs a health warning. You know, because the laughing was painful. You know what I mean? I was like in pain. You know, I can't handle this anymore. I'm gonna die here. You know what I mean? So yeah. All right, let's wrap this up, Jose.
All right, kids. I am DLZ101. With me is Zam and Gary. Thank you guys for joining me. We will see you guys this Friday for The Last of Us, episode 5. And please like, share, subscribe. We are NerdTube, the greatest YouTube channel you've actually kind of sort of heard of. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.